A Pedro Porro screamer puts Tottenham Hotspur into the fourth round of the FA Cup. It is 33 years since we last lifted the FA Cup. Hopefully this year Spurs can go all the way.
Chris Cowlin. Fan cams. Club news. Transfer news. Match previews. Legend interviews. Spurs winning. Press conferences. Covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. This is another edition of Spurs in the Media. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Burnley 0 in the FA Cup third round. Of course, the game took place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Friday evening. Spurs are now through to the fourth round. The draw will take place on Monday evening before the Wigan v Manchester United game. And in this episode, I'll be going through all of today's national newspapers, looking at all of the player ratings. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. So let's get straight into it. Let's start with a report from the Daily Express today. And on the back page, it says here, Porro packs punch. A Pedro Porro pile driver put Tottenham into the fourth round of the FA Cup. Then Ange Postecoglou hit out at a reporter for questioning his integrity over the absence of Eric Dyer from the win against Burnley. Also from the Daily Express, this full-page article, Mark of Porro is the main heading. It then states Spurs lack firepower without Son until Pedro hits a cracker. It is amazing the depths that players will go to when faced with the prospect of spending the winter break at Turf Moor. An FA Cup replay in the North West was looking on the cards instead of enjoying a breather after the busy festive period. But with 12 minutes to go, Pedro Porro fired a thunderous strike into the top corner to get Tottenham into the fourth round. Now the match stats from the game, Tottenham Hotspur 1, Burnley 0. Spurs had 63% of the ball to Burnley's 37%. Shots on target, Spurs 7, Burnley 1. Shots off target, Spurs 7, Burnley 7. Block shots, 2 apiece. Corners, Spurs had 8 to Burnley's 3. Fouls, Spurs 14, Burnley 11. Yellow cards, Spurs received 1, Burnley received 2. Tottenham Hotspur star Brennan Johnson has spoken out about Pedro Porro's goal and he said it was an unbelievable strike. He shoots a lot in training and misses a lot, but it came off. And Burnley manager Vincent Kompany after the game said, if you can see the goal like we did today, sometimes you have to shake hands and say a top goal and that is it. But we've got to take our chances. Now, the player ratings from the Daily Express today, and before I read the player ratings out, I've got to say I was so impressed with the starting 11. Ange Postecoglou obviously wanted to win this game, go through to the next round of the competition and take this competition seriously. He chose exactly the same team as I actually wanted us to play. It was the strongest possible 11 in my opinion. Anyway, the player ratings from the Daily Express: Vicario a 7, Udogie a 6, Davis a 7, Emerson Royale a 6, Pedro Porro a 7, Skip a 6, Bentancur a 7, Johnson an 8, Lo Celso a 5, Kulusevski a 6, Richarlison a 6, and they have given sub Brian Hill a 6. Now for a report from the Guardian newspaper today, and it's got this wonderful picture here of Pedro Porro scoring the goal, which of course has put us through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. The main heading states Spurs sneak into fourth round after Porro's fireball scorches Burnley. The report states it had been possible to feel the demons circling from Tottenham's previous cup tie. Their only one before this under Ange Postecoglou back in August. The manager had made sweeping changes at Fulham in the Carabao Cup and watched his team exit on penalties. It then states that Postecoglou knew that he could ill afford a repeat. The second half of the season might have come to look rather stripped back, especially with no European football. He went with his strongest available lineup, and after an encouraging opening, it all went a little flat. His players looked heavy-legged. Burnley, whose clear priority is Premier League survival, have looked better in recent weeks. Were they about to enjoy an FA Cup tonic? Also in this report, it says that Spurs had offered little in the second half, and when Richarlison allowed a half chance to slip away, Postecoglou put his hands up to his face. Enter Pedro Porro. It then goes on to say that Pedro Porro, it was one way to score your first goal of the season, some way to drive Spurs into the next round. And now a report from the Times newspaper, and it says here, Porro adds to Spurs Cup classics. It's also got a stat here. Spurs have scored in all 22 games under Ange Postecoglou. Only Ancelotti at Chelsea had a better start in the Premier League era, and that was 28. In the main report, it says that Tottenham Hotspur love a memorable FA Cup goal. Nothing is likely to match Ricky Villiers' dribble in the 1981 final replay, or Paul Gascoigne's astonishing free kick at Wembley in 1991, or the powerful finish of Bobby Smith in the 1962 final, or the jinking David Ginola against Barnsley, or the Frenchman's volley against Leeds United in 1999. Even Sergi Rebrov got in on the act with a fine volley against West Ham in 2001. In quality and quantity, Spurs have had plenty of gems to choose from, and their 911th FA Cup goal also deserves celebrating. Pedro Porro's unstoppable strike 12 minutes from time was particularly welcome. Now for the Daily Mirror, and on the back page it says here, the mark of Porro, Spurs needed something special, and Pedro's screamer delivered. Ange Postecoglou claimed it was always going to take something special to put Tottenham into the FA Cup fourth round. There's also a double-page spread from today's Daily Mirror, and it says here, Ped over heels, Porro fires home a wonder strike to send Spurs marching into the next round. And it also states, if Tottenham go all the way this season, they will be replaying Pedro Porro's goal for years to come. It was brilliant, good enough to light up any cup run and leave the fans dreaming of Wembley. His sensational 25-yard strike was totally out of keeping with a rather dull FA Cup third-round tie, but it was enough to send Spurs fans in the sellout 60,982 crowd home happy. Now, the player ratings from the Daily Mirror today, they have given Vicario a 6, Pedro Porro a 6, Davis a 6, Emerson Royal a 7, Udogie a 6, Skip a 6, Lo Celso a 5, Bentancur a 6, Johnson a 7, Kulusevski a 6, Richarlison a 6. They have given Brian Hill, who of course came on in the 58th minute for Lo Celso, they have given him a 6 out of 10. Interestingly, they have given man of the match to Pedro Porro, who they gave a 6 out of 10 to. But Emerson and Johnson, they both give higher ratings with 7s. Now for a report from the Daily Mail, and it says here, Porro pile driver gives Spurs a welcome jolt, but Ange fumes over dire questions. It's got this wonderful picture here of Pedro Porro celebrating his wonderful strike and the winning goal. It then states, it was beginning to look like Tottenham would foul their first test without captain and top goal scorer Heung-min Son. The forward was absent from this FA Cup third round tie with Burnley as he prepares for the Asia Cup of South Korea, and for 78 minutes his teammates could only muster half chances against the Premier League's second bottom side. But then came a moment of real quality from an unlikely source. Pedro Porro had only scored 3 times for Spurs before last night, but the fullback fired in a wonder goal to keep their hopes of silverware alive. Now, the player ratings from the Daily Mail today, and this is more like it in my opinion. Vicario a 6, Pedro Porro an 8, Emerson Royal a 6.5, Davis a 6.5, Udogie a 6.5, Oliver Skip a 6, Bentancur, who of course captained the side on Friday evening against Burnley, a 6 out of 10, Kulusevski a 7, Lo Celso a 6, Johnson a 7, and Richarlison a 6. Now for a report from the Sun newspaper, and on the front of the goal supplement, it's got this wonderful picture of Pedro Porro celebrating, and it says here, Ped all to the medal. Porro says luck was in. Pedro Porro got FA Cup lift-off for Tottenham with a lucky third-round screamer. Also, a double-page spread from the Sun newspaper today, and it says here, it's rich and poor. Pedro Porro is rivalling Trent Alexander-Arnold for the title of the most electrifying right-back around. Some stats here, goal time, 77 minutes, 56 seconds. Distance scored, it was from 27.1 yards. Shot speed, 64.5 miles per hour. The Sun newspaper have also confirmed that the draw for the fourth round takes place on Monday on ITV1 at approximately 7:50 p.m. in the build-up to the Wigan v Manchester United tie. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Don't forget the draw is Monday. Spurs will be ball number 7. Let's hope for a home draw and let's hope that Spurs can go all the way this season under Ange Postecoglou. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Come on, you Spurs.